And get started. All right, so good morning, everyone. I'm going to start here quickly by talking about the ASR. So the transportation display issues that we talked about last week, for the most part, has been resolved. So if you are still seeing issues with any of your students' transportation, either you're seeing too many days or too few days, please reach out to our office, or if you're in contact with state aid, we've got a method right now so that we're in constant communication with each other. So if you are seeing transportation issues, reach out to either of our offices and we'll take a look and get that corrected for you. If you are seeing a transportation issue and you choose to email us, please make sure that you're providing STN numbers. That'll allow us to look at that student specifically and see if we are getting sent the correct record or if we're not being sent the correct record at all. Thank you, Erin, for answering that question in the chat. There was a question asking about certifying calendars like you all have in the past. Like Erin has said in the chat, calendars no longer have to be certified separately. So when your principals are going in and confirming the report, they're confirming both the calendar view as well as the student view as well. So you won't have to certify twice. For the reporting requirements, that was released on the 4th through the Engage OK newsletter. I'm not too sure if all of you are getting those newsletters. They go out every Tuesday. If you have not, please let us know and we'll forward that email along to you. We will get the document that it's referencing put onto our section of the website as well, just for ease of access later on today. But that document does detail all of the reports that are going to be due between now and the end of the year, so June 30th. If you do have questions with any of the reports, please reach out to that specific division. One thing that you all will notice is that the post-secondary opportunities report is on that list. We don't have a whole lot of details for you guys right now about how that's going to look. We're not expecting you all to certify that report at all. So if you do have specific questions about how that's going to look and whatnot, I would reach out to the accountability office. If you want to CC us on those emails, feel free to. But that document has also been posted in our district collaboration Microsoft Teams channel. If you didn't get the email, don't care to get the email, and just want to get that document quick and easy. But again, for those of you that don't get the emails, the Engage OK emails, and don't want to be a part of our Teams channel, we will get that uploaded onto the student information section of the SDU website later on today or tomorrow. So before we get into the validation of the week, I did want to just blanketly address one validation error that we've been getting some questions on. For those of you that are potentially new to doing data at your district, in May and June, we start to throw errors related to graduation dates. It's just a reminder for you all to put in the graduation date for your seniors. It should not be excluding any of those students from the ASR. It's just reminding you that we have a group of students who are listed as a senior. Their cohort year is coming up this year, so we're expecting to see a graduation date. Now, you might not see that error all this pop for all of your seniors all at once. That error will start to pick up more seniors as time goes on, but once you put in that graduation date, that error will go away. Again, it's just a reminder that you need to put that graduation date in for your seniors. So I will hand it off to Aaron so he can talk about the validation of the week.
Hi, everyone. So this week, what we're going to cover, we're going to take a look at some of the economic disadvantage and the free and reduced statuses and how they coordinate with one another or sometimes don't coordinate with one another. For the first two areas you're seeing there, for the economic disadvantage and lunch eligibility determination not aligning, as well as the economic disadvantage and free reduced indicators not aligning, we've got about 4,000 errors across the state for those two. And then, of course, we have within that bundle of things the direct certification report that plays into that as well. And typically, what you'll see for that one is an economic disadvantage indicator not aligning with what the direct certification report is telling you or is telling us. And from those, I know it can get kind of confusing because, again, the error report and the error description doesn't give you anything really on how to handle that. So again, this week I've made a chart for you to be able to follow through and hopefully be able to coordinate with your lunch personnel and your data personnel, because I know what they speak and what your data people speak aren't always the same. And unfortunately, I don't have a way to be able to show you everything within your student information system, how that'll show and the wording they use for the lunch eligibility determination. But on our end, we receive it just as the number codes 1 through 10 and 12 through 15. But again, this one will read from left to right. You'll start with the free and reduced status of the student. So if a student is free, you know that their economic disadvantage indicator has to be a yes. And with that, you've got any of the lunch eligibility determination codes that will work alongside with that. Typically, if a student is on the direct cert report, they will be a O1 on that lunch eligibility determination code. And there's a couple of them. When we post this, we'll actually post the lunch eligibility determination codes and their meaning on our end. But there's a few others that kind of have a wording of direct cert, but typically the one that will agree and not give you an error is the O1 code on the lunch eligibility determination. But like I said, read this from left to right. So if we were to go for the reduced status on free and reduced, their economic disadvantage indicator must be a yes. And there's only one lunch eligibility determination code that will go along with that. So those ones are pretty straightforward. But once you get to provision 2, provision 3, community eligible, or for instance, a student that isn't receiving a free and reduced lunch. So for your provision 2, provision 3, community eligible, you can be yes or no on the economically disadvantaged indicator. So with that, if a school or district is blanket coverage community eligible on their lunch providing status, a student within that can still be not economically disadvantaged. And then, of course, their lunch eligibility determination would be an NA with that. So it's kind of, like I said, it's blanket coverage, and your students within there may not have individually qualified for that. And we do have to keep up with that. And hopefully this chart from left to right, like I said, will help you keep up with that. So of course there's students that can be economically disadvantaged, but refuse a lunch, and that would be at the very bottom there. Those that are would be marked yes on your economic disadvantage. They would still have a lunch eligibility determination of 10, but they would be marked as not receiving a free or reduced. The parent or guardian has refused that. But hopefully this chart will kind of make it a little bit easier for you to coordinate with your lunch personnel and kind of help get those straightened out. Like I said, we will post this alongside where we post the video link, and we'll include the chart for the lunch eligibility determination codes. So it'll be a little bit easier for you to translate what's in your student information system or within your lunch program, and translate that into what we would need to be receiving it as. But hopefully this helps, and I'll hand it back to Lakeisha.
Thank you, Aaron. There was a question in the chat related to this. Very good question. If you are getting errors that also say CIF extended element is invalid, it doesn't give you any other context outside of that. That is a us issue. Right now, you'll probably most likely see another error, say if you have the CIF extended element is invalid error and it's popping up for 10 students. You might also see that lunch eligibility determination is invalid. We'll also say it's wrong for 10 students. So essentially they're the same error, it's just popping up with two different descriptions. So until we get that overall issue with us displaying the CIF extended element is invalid error without any other useful descriptions, you can look for whichever piece of information has the same subset of students popping up as an error, and ignore the CIF extended element is invalid error. If you fix, for my example, say for the lunch eligibility determination, if you fix that issue for those 10 students, both of those errors will go away at the same time. So if you're not seeing a similar error popping up for the same amount of students, please reach out to us. We'll take a more specific look at that, but that's what's going on there. I know it is confusing for a lot of you. We have been asked that a couple of times there. So if you do have more specific questions, please, email us with their STN and we'll look at it more specifically. So moving on with that, so our team's collaboration, I've said this every week since we've published this out to you all, but I'm just going to continue to encourage you all to sign up, use the form that is on the WAVES homepage to get involved with this Microsoft team. It's a place where we can all collaborate, ask questions to the general group. Right now we've got our office and state aid involved. So if you do have a general question, it doesn't really warrant an email. You can just throw a message in the chat, and either our office, state aid, or maybe even another district can answer your question. You can also directly message any of our team with any of your questions. You can give us a phone call if you've had a quick question. It's been very good so far for the 70+ people that we've had included in this team's collaboration. So if you're interested, just again, please use the form that's on the WAVES homepage and we'll get you added. We also post some announcements that are also on the WAVES homepage. So if you are curious about when we fixed an issue and you might not always see it on the WAVES homepage, you can at least get those notifications through Teams as soon as that message is updated. And hopefully the communication between us and you will get better and better. So,
and as a reminder on that, don't put student level information in the general chat. Save that for sending a private message to one of our people in our office or in state aid or whoever you're working with. Don't just post that in the general chat. Still be mindful of, FERPA and private PII information. So just keep that in mind. Yes,
thank you, Aaron. Right now, we unfortunately don't have a way to moderate your comments as best as we would like to. We are making those updates, but for now, if you do post anything, like Aaron said, be mindful of FERPA. So with that, we'll open it up to any other questions. Feel free to unmute yourself if you are muted, or just use the chat. One of the three of us will jump in and try and answer your question. And I'll go ahead and stop the recording.